Do you believe in miracles? We got Fizzle in the house. Fizzle, what's good, man? Fizzle, glad to have you here.
Let's go. This the South Harmon Podcast. Glad you here today. Hit that Patreon link if you here to stay. Dynasty best ball, that's my favorite way. 40 chess trade show. Let's make a trade today or check a AMA. You know Adam at the ATM. Mike always in the building. He gon' stay with him. They gon' start every show off with their own trade. Fantasy's a big ocean. They made their own wave. Make sure you tapping in Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesday night, Saturday morning, ain't no better way. Hit that notification bell when the news break. Go subscribe right now, don't get the news late. Destination Devi, that's the team. Dynasty Football, man, that's my favorite thing. I remember Biggie said it was all a dream. Now people watching on their phones and computer screens. Welcome to the team. Let's start the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another edition of the Dynasty Trade Show. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, my ass is live in person with my boys, sitting on the casting couch. If you know, you know. It's actually pretty comfy, Adam. I think. Did you reupholster this from last year?
I shined it up a little bit. There's some room over there you can't see over there. I was thinking about coming and joining you, but I gotta let Mike have his thing, man. This is his casting couch at this point, so you could mess it up, do whatever you want with it, buddy. That's yours now. It's the casting couch of Mike.
There's no stains or nothing.
Nothing, man.
I figured we should have gone with the pleather, the black pleather, but this will work. This feels like I'm at Grandma's house.
It fits. It fits. Let's see.
It fits.
He wears it really well. So, as you can see, man, we're in person. We are ready to bring you, Mike, a marathon, a bevy of Dynasty Trades. Let's get into it, man.
Let's go, man. Well, we got our first one here. You want to read it off for the people?
Well, I was just gonna say, Mike. I mean, Mike was kind of giving me some shit. He says you haven't been on the trade show. I'm like, well, I've been making trades, but you've just been destroying it.
Here.
So here I am. I'm back on the Dynasty Trade Show, starting off with one of ours. Jared Goff and Trey Lance. So Trey Lance, Mike's beloved Trey Lance, I'm actually acquiring here. Sending away my 24 first in Cole Kmet. It's a 12-team Superflex tiered PPR. Best ball start 12. Half point for the running backs, full point for the receivers, 2 for the tight end. This is T-Rock's league, Nickelodeon Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little mixing it up,
All right.
I won't tell you what the buy-in fee is. You might laugh at me, so we'll
$10.
Well, 25. We'll leave it.
All right. Well, still,
it's my lowest one.
it's okay.
Yeah.
What do you get if you win? Like $150? $200?
We'll find out this year.
I want to find out this year. I think we've had one on where I've sent away Jared Goff for 24 first. Yep. I believe that was in a lineup league.
Yes, we had Shane on for that. Remember?
Yeah. Best ball. I think it's about right. I don't think anybody's going to argue it. I think back and forth, I'm kind of good. You can make a case for one if you need a quarterback, especially in best ball league, buying Jared Goff for 24 first.
Right.
Just for a 1 year bet.
Yep.
Ain't the worst thing because he's probably going to have 5 or 6 weeks where he's going to make your lineup above average and maybe a couple spikes thrown in.
Yep.
That offense is good enough. He did it last year. Cole Kmet or Trey Lance? You know how much I hate tight ends now and how much I love Trey Lance. So I'd take Trey Lance all day. If it costs me Cole Kmet, you can have all the Cole Kmet in the entire world. I will take all the Trey Lance back.
Yep.
So the top part, pretty even, fair. I would imagine Warp would tell you the exact same. We get a nice little fancy warp graph for this. It's going to say, well, Jared Goff's probably worth about a 24 first.
Yep.
Just random on the backside. And Cole Kmet or Trey Lance, whether you hate Trey Lance or you love Cole Kmet, I'm still going to tell you in the scoring settings, just from what I know, that tight end at the bottom right there is like this. And even that quarterback 36, 37, 38 is probably above him. So,
yep. Yeah, I mean, I think with Jared Goff, it's not the sexiest thing, right? You're buying Jared Goff. It's not like, oh yeah, give me that Jared Goff on my teams. But in best ball, this I believe is roster 30, and in this team, I needed some QB help. That's what everyone probably needs in Superflex. Yeah. But the rest of my team's built pretty well. I got Fields. I got a lot of good skill players, and I'm like, you know what? I'll tell you how this started. he wanted to get rid of Trey Lance. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know you want to get rid of Trey Lance, so let's see what I can get you to do where you're still getting Trey Lance, but there's a lot of other things now happening where Trey Lance is just thrown into the deal in a way.
Right.
So that's kind of how this deal was formed is, all right, I know you want to get rid of Lance, and the timing shows me like, all right, this is a panic off Trey Lance. That's fine. But the Cole Kmet thing for me, I think, is what I'm like, if it's Cole Kmet that's going to make – first of all, I have too many tight ends on this team. I found out the hard way on some of my teams that I had too many tight ends, and Warp tells me, why do you have more than anywhere near what the roster construction says? You should have that number or lower, basically. Just give yourself enough shots at tight end. You don't need to have a bunch of names. So getting rid of Cole Kmet to me when I was already overexposed there, now I got 2 shots at quarterback. I know Trey Lance isn't sexy and he's basically a throw-in, but if he ends up starting any of the games for Frisco, if he gets traded, like, in this deal that I'm making, he's basically, I'm already assuming that he does nothing.
Right.
So if anything he gives me is awesome.
Right. What are you getting out of Cole Kmet in a best ball league?
The only thing that hurt is I lost the stack. That's the only thing that did hurt.
Maybe it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Last year he did have a couple spikes, but most of the other weeks were very mediocre.
Now he's towards the bottom. Like Trey Lance could honestly do that at the quarterback position with 2 spot starts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And be a difference maker. And as far as Warp's concerned, that's the advantage. So
right.
If this is what it costs to go get Trey Lance, and like I said, the Goff 24 first thing, I've been on both sides of it. In a best ball league, I'm more likely to send if I need a quarterback, even if it's my third, my fourth. Hell, in a best ball league, how much affinity I have for getting like 5 quarterbacks.
Right.
Like just give me 5 dudes. And, I'll split up all over. I don't have to worry about when to start him. So I think he's definitely right in that range. In best ball, probably more likely to be worth a 24 first in a lineup league.
Yeah.
So that one makes a lot of sense. And the Cole Kmet thing is like, no offense to Cole Kmet. I'm on this. You're just one of those tight ends that don't matter. People probably hate me because I hate Chig Okonkwo. There's probably somebody out there who's going to fight me on Cole Kmet.
I mean, and I have no problem with Cole Kmet being a part of my tight end room, but he's not. He very unlikely for him to be
not a difference maker.
All right, now this is the reason why I make or break a trade in the way that Warp looks. So
I wanted to pull that up too because I was interested to see exactly what he did on Spike Weeks last year as far as best ball is concerned because it didn't feel that great.
Yeah, on the Spike and Consistency Week chart.
Yeah,
I feel like he had 2 weeks for sure where he ended up going off because long touchdown or whatever.
Overall he ended up being tight end 13.
Yeah.
Right behind Gerald Everett, right in front of Dallas Goedert, who missed time. So not the worst, not the greatest, but
he was the only option they had at all at receiver last year, pretty much.
4 weeks he would have made your lineup.
There you go. That's what I was guessing for. And 2 spikes, was it?
2 spikes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Which is why he ranks so highly because most of these other tight ends can't spike.
Yeah, I want to say was he tight end 1 on one of those weeks too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
He had a big week.
Really, if you had him that week, you probably won your week.
Yeah.
And outside of that, he probably didn't really help you win any other weeks, honestly. Yeah. He was okay, but he just...
We also got to remember, too, like number 1 tight end on the week could mean wildly different things.
It could mean you outscored Travis Kelce when he's going bananas, or it could mean you just had like 15 points.
Exactly. Exactly. It could be Mark Andrews from a couple years ago, damn near like 60 points in most scoring formats, or it could be, like you said, you caught a touchdown and had 50 yards.
You just had 20 more yards than all the other tight ends that scored. That's all the difference is.
Wildly different, especially at the tight end spot.
Yeah, man. So that was me. Mike, let's. You know what? Enough about me, man. Let's get into you. Let's talk.
I'm on here. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're on here, buddy. Let's see what it says. Come on, Blitz. Help work with me here. 12-team Superflex, PPR, half-point tight end premium, best ball start 10. Rookie Degens is the name of this league.
Yep.
All right, Mike. Talk to us. Devin A-Chain, Darnell Washington. For those of you that drafted your leagues on time, that feels like an eternity ago. We drafted them. A pair of thirds for we just talked about on 4D, man. The once staunch loved
Javonte.
Early second, late first 2022 startup pick, Javonte Williams. I mean, I got a lot of assumptions, but I'll let you. This is your trade. You tell me first.
This is just more about how the league's set up. So for those of you who don't know, obviously, if you're not in the league, the payout structure is set up so it's your maximum amount you can get paid out to win in like year 3, right?
Oh, this is one of those deals?
Yeah, it was kind of like set up so people don't go all in and then bail on the league after 1 year, 2 years, So this is where I've been like slow playing the league as long as I possibly can, because there's really no incentive for me to go balls deep and try to win in year 2. Yeah, which is money. Yeah, it's money, and you'd win a league, but I'm trying to set it up to see if I can strategically place myself to be that dude in 2024. When the payouts at its most, then I want to push all in and see if I can go get it.
Yep.
Javonte, he's fine, but it's a best ball, Adam. Like, I'm really comfortable in best ball, taking one piece like that and breaking it up into multiple other pieces. A-Chain's fine. There's a scenario in best ball, whether you like it or not, to say that Devon A-Chain and Javonte Williams are basically the same in a best ball league. Like, they'll give me the same amount of weeks in my lineup, maybe give me the same amount of spikes. Darnell Washington, this is just kind of something where I threw in. The original deal was like A-Chain in 2/3, and I was like,
I need you to give me that grease, man.
And then I saw the clip of Darnell Washington out there running against like a linebacker catching that post route.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, that's all I needed.
All right, I'm back in. Listen, I'll tell you what. If I bought a share of Darnell Washington for every time I saw him look amazing as like an athlete or do something, I'd have the exposure I have, which is entirely too much. Because he ended up going so late in a lot of these drafts. The thing about this is, when I pulled up the warp just to see, but when you look at this trade, right, you'll see warp at some point. We'll put it on the screen for you here, but it really doesn't actually matter that much, because the essence of the deal, which I was curious to see, and you started there. What's the difference really between Devon A-Chain and Javonte Williams? Ask yourself, what's that difference look like? And the reality is, in best ball, is probably not much at all. I mean, maybe it's possible. Maybe Devon A-Chain ends up this guy that gets less than 10 touches every week, and he's just rarely making your lineup.
Yep.
But is Javonte Williams going to become the old bell cow of old, and do you want to make that bet, basically? Because when you start adding pluses, even though they're not big in a best ball league, all of a sudden it's like, hey, man, you give him 3 shots to do any other thing than the level of win versus Javonte and A-Chain are minimal.
Right.
You already just multiplied him. It's not the same as Javonte Williams, but you got 4 different assets now, 2 of which you don't even have to have as part of your roster construction. You can play with those thirds in different ways. So on the surface level of the trade, I like it.
Let me ask you, if you were in the opposite. Like if you were Chev in this case, and you're trying to build a contender for this year, fair price to pay for Javonte if you thought he was going to be that guy.
I would say if you want to make a bet on a specific player, there's nothing like insane about this, but if I'm going to do something like this where I'm sending away 4 pieces, even though they're thirds and Darnell Washington, you got to give me something better than Javonte, man. Like, I don't even know what I'm betting on here other than hope. Like, that's what I'm betting on, is hope.
You probably want something back, right? Even if it's super crusty.
Give me this turd wide receiver that you hate that can make. I look at this chart. We could talk warp there.
Right.
That perfect case in point. You give me, one of your wide receiver 30 types or something like that. Yeah, now we can talk. Like, you got 1 asset back. You actually lost more pieces in your team. So you're betting so heavily on Javonte Williams, and if he's injured or misses time or doesn't perform, it's not like you sent away the farm, but it's all gone. Like, that, all that value is gone for 1 player. I don't like to make bets like that in best ball typically.
If this was a lineup league, though, completely different story, right? We can acknowledge that.
Yeah, I mean, because in thirds there, like, I think that even there you might find people at times that'll take that third and you get a gross running back start.
Jamal Williams.
Something, right? Maybe you could probably at some point.
Jaxon
some point you could have probably sent
2/3
and gotten Jamal full, right?
Yeah.
But there, it's like, all right, you're Darnell Washington. I really don't want to be a part of the long-term bet of him in lineup leagues. Nah, I'm good. So I would get it more there. I just think to make this deal right in best ball for the Chubb side, you make Mike give you something. Don't just cave to the McNutted willpower, man. That's my.
I'm the one sitting on the casting couch. Come on.
That spot is. We wonder why that spot is empty. All right, man. Speaking of 4-for-1s, 12-team Superflex PPR. It's a 0.75 tight end premium. This is a lineup start 10. League is called Threes Dynasty. CeeDee Lamb. Master Vader is getting CeeDee Lamb in the lineup start 10. You want all your CeeDee Lamb. Let's start here and just acknowledge that this is almost the entire Iowa Michael list right here on the bottom. This is the Christian Kirk love, the Sammy LaPorta love. You already know how he feels about the first. And all right, Jerome Ford, was more of my love.
Yeah,
but I tried. All right.
That's all you, buddy.
Let's talk about it, man. 3's Dynasty, 4 for 1 here. CeeDee Lamb, let's acknowledge the greatness of him. But where are you at, man? Talk to people.
The 4 for 1's going to be hard. Jerome Ford, like that could be a spot start for you pretty easily. Christian Kirk, I think the problem is like Christian Kirk's in this deal, and I really like Christian Kirk. You throw the first in, and I'm starting to go, well, Christian Kirk's almost worth a first, if not worth a late first. And I always have a hard time paying 2 firsts for any wide receiver. Like, doesn't really matter. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, like those kind, Tyreek Hill, like those kind of guys. It's really tough to pay 2 firsts for those kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add Sam LaPorta and the market value that he's carrying. I'm going, oh, man, this is tough. If you took out the first and you just did LaPorta, Kirk, and Ford, I think we'd be here like, man, good job. Way to get CD.
I think it's a slam dunk if you did that.
Right.
I think for me, I actually think what you just said there is where it depends on what your thoughts are with him. I look at Warp and it's, CeeDee Lamb's in that point that could matter there. You're talking.
He could be over 2.
You could be over 2. You could definitely be hovering around 2.
Yep.
I think this comes down to what do you actually believe in Sam LaPorta and what can you get for him? And is cashing out right here the play? The 24 first, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. Like the Christian Kirk to CeeDee Lamb, I have no problem. I love Kirk. In best ball, I'm pretty confident betting on him. In lineup, I still will bet on him, but I will at least acknowledge the market plus what he poses.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a little more risky. But in lineup leagues, I'm going Kirk to Lamb. Like, I'll do a lot to get that done. Now, the problem here is the 24 first of being your own. Like, I would really want to know how good your team is, how well you've constructed. Do you have outs if, shit hits the fan? We've all had teams shit hit the fan. But if you feel good about that, I think what you're probably doing is essentially cashing out on LaPorta at this price because I want the CeeDee Lamb side if you're built right. I just wanted to make sure that, like, that's why it's hard for me is because I don't know this, and I've been on these teams where I'm like, oh, yeah, Mike, look at this team, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be – dude, imagine trying to play this team. This is guaranteed 112. I've already won. And then, it turns into the 104, and now you're like –
damn it.
And you're a pick outside of the big 3 in this 24 class, possibly.
Yep.
So I could see it either way. I think it's a – good cash out for LaPorta if you're built right. But I don't know. It's this one's a little tougher for me, but I want the Lamb side.
I want the Lamb side too. It is tough just because of that 24 first being leveraged in, and we're not playing real football yet, right? And you're putting all your eggs into one basket essentially. LaPorta's got some juice. Christian Kirk, he comes out and he's Christian Kirk of last year, even with Calvin Ridley there. Like, people are like, oh, yeah, I'll go buy Christian Kirk. That's a real nice wide receiver. And I go, yeah, that's kind of what I've been trying to tell you for a while. But and Jerome Ford, like I said, that could be a guy who has a role.
Right.
And has some weeks where you could actually start him. And you go, yeah, man, he's doing a lot in that offense. And then you always have that liquidity of your first, that fallback piece or that piece to push in later.
Yeah.
Just generally, I'm just saying, in a vacuum, if we had this deal and it's in, September.
Yeah.
It's October. I go, oh, man, you want the CeeDee Lamb side, no question about it.
Yep.
Take 4 pieces, turn it into one really good one. But just the timing of it always makes me go, man, I've seen this shit go wrong time and time again. Like, I've done it myself, and I go, it just makes me hesitant. It's not that it's anything to do with CeeDee Lamb. It's just anytime you take 4 pieces and turn it into one, that's a hell of an up tier.
Yeah.
And they're not like 4 junky pieces, right? They're not, I don't know, throw something in, like 4 Kenny McIntoshes.
Right. I mean, the one, like, the thing with LaPorta is, and we'll go to Warp here, right? We already know tight ends outside of the top. The one thing you'll see is that the Andrews and I'm imagining that's Hawk, but it's pretty much every that's pretty much universal. So those ones actually do matter in this league a little more, right? They're almost 1.5 in warp. So that does kind of make you think that tight ends have a better market, because I think that's one of the things I've found that correlates with this line is we already all know that warp's going to tell you tight ends are not as valuable as you probably thought.
Yeah.
But the higher that steep line gets up, that tends to tell me that the market's better in that type of a league.
Yeah.
Because if people are feeling it more in their lineups, they're going to freak out about it. So I don't think you lose anything in warp with LaPorta. So and maybe this is the best point you can cash out, but maybe there's a chance where he plays 1 or 2 games where he kind of goes nuts and holy Santa Claus shit. What could I have gotten for him then? So I'll take CD here, but it doesn't come without risk. I love this clown thing on here too. Little clown emoji. Someone's upset.
Somebody didn't like it.
What in Blitz? What are you doing to us? Holy mackerel! I couldn't pause it in time. What?
It was so fast.
Mike.
So fast.
What in the world is happening here? This is insane. Koopa, you're not supposed to get stuff like this. Aaron Rodgers is being acquired for 24 third, 24 third, 24 second, 24 third, 24 fourth. 12-team Superflex PPR lineup start 11. Dynasty dealers. I'll pull up the warp, Mike. I mean,
it can't be that bad, can it?
Dude, how I don't understand how this trade gets done. Like, what are you asking for if you have Aaron Rodgers right now and you need to sell?
Couple seconds.
I need at least a couple seconds just because Superflex.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Quantum Flux just totally got nickeled and dimed here. Like, I don't care about these thirds that much. I mean, you probably don't find it. I just think you're forcing. I want to get rid of Rodgers right now. You don't have to make this deal right this second.
Nope.
Now I know he played bad yesterday in camp, but you're telling me he doesn't have a game at some point, and someone's going to need quarterbacks. That's the other thing. Right now, everybody thinks they have their quarterback room figured out, right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. This was this was a best ball. I could probably make the case. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just because that's a lot of pieces to come back, and I can fill them on my roster. A lineup. I know we just talked about like buying spot starts with thirds and that kind of stuff, but it's a spot start. Like, this guy probably just shored up this dude's quarterback room, I would imagine, right?
I mean, at this cost, I don't care if you were flush.
You just buy it.
You didn't have enough. Like, here, you want all this bag of junk. Like, I just sold you a mystery box. I'm pulling up the warp right now. Koopa, thanks for having all these leagues in here. It's fun to find.
He does
this.
it for the people.
I'm just messing with him.
He does it for the people.
Here we go. There it is. Dynasty Dealers. It's real, except I clicked the wrong one. Dynasty Dealers. Let's take a look at the warp. But, like, I mean, if you had a quarterback room that was needy, this is insane to pick that up. Warp looks pretty similar. You're looking at, the steep line up top. Kind of hovers around. It's more in the range of just skill players for the most part. But it's still the scarcity thing. How many quarterbacks right now, Mike, do you feel you would want and be willing to buy if you saw prices like this in a lineup league?
Man. In a lineup league. Probably 25.
Yeah. I mean, there's – you tell me I'm getting anyone in that range. I was going to say not quite the whole league, but take away about 7 or 8 of them. That's about 25, right? So, like –
I'd buy Mac Jones for this.
There's not that many people that I wouldn't buy for this.
I mean, the only ones I can really think of
like,
that
I'm not buying Baker for this.
I don't think I'd do Tannehill.
Right. Like, you could probably start, but even then, if you were needy enough, you could probably have a conversation of, this is the best I can do. Let's just get those done. Crusty as hell. But here, there's no way. You shouldn't be able to buy a quarterback that's actually looking like the starter. I don't care how old he is and how soon you think he's going to retire and stink. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Not in a million years.
The only thing is, I'm curious if this bakes in at all, is I do see the 2 tight end. And that's where in those type of leagues, like, in your third rounds, second rounds, like, you're shooting your shot on just filling those, and maybe they're getting value bumps. But that's me stretching to try to figure out how this makes sense for you.
Like, I'm pretty crusty in tight end lineup for tight end anymore. Like, I like to get pretty crusty. Mm-hmm. But there is something always to be said about having a guy with some pizzazz, some cachet to him where you go.
Right.
I feel good about just pushing the button on this dude every single week.
Yep.
Like, I know warp-wise it might not be the greatest thing ever, but the problem and what Scott has always talked about in lineup leagues, you have to capture that warp advantage. Like, it is on you to pick who you're going to start.
Right.
Best ball is much easier. Just go super crusty because I'm going to capture it regardless.
We're capturing the whole thing, buddy.
Everything.
Unless my team is so good that I miss, like, a couple high-end guys.
So I get it. Maybe you can use some of these thirds and get some of these 2 tight end guys, but you still then got to push the button on the right one every single week.
All right, here you got your choice. You got to start. You got to start 2. So big deal. But now you got to tell me which one you want. Gerald Everett, Noah Fant, and you just keep going down, right? You got 5, 6 of them.
Yeah.
Which one? You're gonna make a decision. Did you make the right one? Nothing more frustrating than having a room like that, and every week
you pick the wrong.
You're
one.
mind fucking yourself.
Yes.
Because you're chasing last week. You put in a guy last week who totally screws you last week, and now you don't want to play him. He goes off this week. It's guessing tight ends week to week. I think is one of the more difficult and hard to put your finger on because their workload may be totally the same, and then their results be completely and utterly different. You know, so I'm good on Koopa. You know what?
Pass.
Koopa's not even here. We shouldn't have to gloat about his trade this much. That's insane. All right. Whoa. Here he's back. Goat rings, man. Well, I shouldn't say that about just he's on the trade show.
He's made it back on the trade show.
Yeah. Here we go. Goat rings. Deneric Prince, Samaje Perine, a 24 first. Interestingly, I'm seeing he's getting his back.
Allegedly. It might be one of those weird ones, too, where they're looking at it from the league.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then we got Krogan.
I never screenshot from the league chat. I don't give a shit.
This is a hot button trade right now.
It is.
This is JT, man. This is context for you because people they're losing their mind about what's going on with Jonathan Taylor right now. 12-team, 2-quarterback PPR lineup start 11. League of assholes.
Apparently. I don't know where that first is, if that's his own or anything, but I'm just going to talk about it in the context of random.
Okay.
You know, just a generic first. Mm-hmm. And I've been fully against this. I know. And listen, I go to bat against Scott Connor on some things, and I inevitably become wrong.
And you know,
So
like
let me just preface this.
It's like when Will Ferrell, the Anchorman jumps into the pit. Yeah. I immediately regret this decision.
Exactly.
But yeah, I get you. You're still doing it.
I can't do this shit.
Right.
I cannot do this shit. And if you don't believe me that I can't do it, if I got Samaje in a first laying around somewhere and you got JT, bring them on over.
I'll even let you pick my generic Prince type on my team.
Yeah, I don't even give a shit about the generic Prince, but I want JT in this situation still. Like this Samaje thing. I know I just shit talked Javonte Williams to start the show.
Yeah.
But come on, man. It's Samaje Perine. Come on.
I mean,
come on.
Well, when's he relevant in lineup start 11 is going to be when Javonte's definitely missing the week, probably, right? Like
Has to be.
That's probably it. And
I wanted to look up what he did just on Spike Weeks last week because it was such a career resurgence for Samaje Perine. So
I have a feeling you're not going to love what you see. But I'm going to talk about it from what is it?
I'll keep scrolling while you keep talking.
I was going to say I'm going to talk about this from the lens of someone that has screenshotted and I believe that's getting his own first back. That's going to be the exception where I'm okay with it. If you're doing this here and there and you want to make a process play, it's not really probably what I'm doing. I think I'm more in the buying JT market. Mm. But if it's my own first, which I'd need it back, and this is the way I can do it, I'm good. Here you go. And it's not that I want to lose Jonathan Taylor, but I didn't really want him on that build anyway.
Right.
If you can let me get my first back and I'm going to go tear it down,
right.
Yes, sign me up on this. That's, I think, going to be the exception for me where when I say something and we talk about it in a generic sense, this will be like, no, dude, I'm not giving you my first on a rebuild. Like, I'm not sending that to you for Jonathan Taylor. That's the only exception. I think if this is my team that I feel really good about or someone else's first, I'm actually willing to send a I don't know, but I thought he was a scat back. I thought people viewed him that way, but now he's a bell cow. But a non high end asset running back like Samaje or Prince in a first. I'd rather buy JT for that typically, but if this is his first back, give me that all day.
Here's one of the things, too. Like, when Scott talks about, I know he mentioned this one specifically, Samaje and a first for your JT. Scott has also roster constructed himself in a way where he doesn't have a lot of choices but to start a guy like Samaje Perine.
When Perine goes to start, he's basically built it in mind warped. He's rostered so that when he does have those, his decision is Samaje's in my lineup.
But no question about it. I don't go, well, I got Akers or I got a JK and I got to play matchups. He's got it where it's like it's Samaje or it's a dude who's probably not active on game day.
And most people are like, what team does he play for?
Exactly. So you have to remember when he does it, because I looked it up last year. Samaje had 3 weeks where he was above average. And my thinking when I think about my running back room is you got to be able to capture that. Like, you had to know those 3 weeks. So either Mixon had to be out or whatever, your rest of your roster was so turdy at the running back spot where you had no other choice to start Samaje. He was already starting for you, and then you were able to reap those benefits. But if you're just doing it without that proper roster construction in the lineup, you're setting yourself up for a massive failure because you're not going to capture any of this.
Right.
You're going to miss out, and you just sold Jonathan Taylor for a dart throw running back and a guy that's going to be a depth piece on your bench that you're never going to play in a first.
So I'm going to just touch on, I think this is something that you have to think about. Like, for example, you if you listen to Scott Connor, you listen to Mike, you listen to myself, I don't care who you listen to. If they tell you to go make a trade, right? And then you don't play the same way and you go make that trade, it's not the value's still fine, really. Like,
yeah.
The value's okay. Like, you're getting it first. It's not like you're getting played here, but like, do you know how to make the process work now?
Yeah.
Like, the whole idea, and this is one of the harder things for me in lineup leagues, Mike, is because I'm not doing any new lineup startups. So all my lineup leagues are already built the way I didn't want them now.
Right.
So now I have to, I'm literally cleaning those up to a high degree. I want to completely reform the team. And you have to do that with 11 other people that are normally not willing to let me do that. Right. So it is – I'm in the process of getting my construction similar, but I'm telling you there are teams where it's like, dude, I'm going to have horrible decisions at running back next year. And I've traded some of them away, and some of them it looks like I'm making a terrible deal. And, well, I'm like, yeah, but I need to make my construction different. So if you're going to make this trade and you don't have your process figured out, if you're not thinking to yourself, when I take Perine on, is my roster and how I built it look like when Perine's going to be the starter, he's definitely making my team. I don't have to decide him, Najee, 3 other running backs. Because if you don't do that, this trade really isn't going to help you do anything other unless you're going to use that 24 to leverage into some other position. You know, sure. You're not going to end up getting the reason that the deal makes a lot of sense for Scott, why he's talking about doing it. So that's one thing I want to mention is if you're just doing a trade that someone tells you to make, why is that good for your team? And is your team ready to make that better for your team? You know? I
think no rings will be given or taken on this trade.
I like that. One ring for them all. I like that. I think if that's his, the one thing I will say, if that's his own, do you agree? I mean, if that's his own, you're getting rid of Taylor, right? Okay. And if that's the context, goat rings, you'll get a half ring. 12-team Superflex PPR lineup start. We'll give him a half. I'm not even going to give him a full. We'll give him a half.
Back.
I know. I see it. That's why. I love it, man. 12-team Superflex PPR lineup start 11 league of douchebag. So he's an asshole and a douchebag. What else do we get before we get out of here?
I don't know.
Krogan and him again, man. I'll tell you what. If this was Mike and I, we would be getting. Look at these guys always making deals with each other.
Collusion.
I want the trade reversed. Quentin Johnson in a 24 third, or DJ Moore in a 24 second.
That is easy, man.
This is ridiculous.
I have no idea how the hell he got the second. Like, how do you get the better pick? You got the better player and the better pick.
I think in a process move, like, I'm not there. But in a process move, if you tell me I got receivers in a similar tier and that you want to pick which one you like and I get the second and you get the third, okay, you can have whichever the hell pick you want. Yep. I think the reality for me, though, is I don't have Quentin Johnson in the same tier as DJ Moore.
I don't.
Not only for these two probably are they in the same tier, but Krogan says
he's a tier above.
He's either a tier above or I'm so bullish on him in this tier, I'll let you have this swap. So This is clean cut and easy, man. I don't even think there's analysis.
7 goat rings, and I'll give him a ring on this one. Right?
This one,
I think he's back to 7.
I mean, this is
7.5.
This is that sneaky. It's not the old fleece where it's like,
Yeah.
dude, what did you do to this soul, right? But this is like, all right, it's sneaky enough, but it's also clear, plain as day enough. So we'll take goat rings side here.
Easy.
What do we got next one? Oh, it's not him again. All right, D-Rack 22, 12 team, 2 quarterback, PPR, full point tight end premium, best ball start 12, 2 tight ends, USFL champions. So I'll pull up the Warp Mic, but it's Michael Thomas and A.J. Brown for Jalen Warren, JSN, Jordan Addison. Interesting. What do you think?
Oh, A.J. Brown's the best player in the deal.
Easy.
JSN's like hot on his heels as far as dynasty
value. Right.
Yes.
Correct.
Not production because we haven't seen shit, but
Could be, but we just know. Production-wise, you can't even talk them in the same breath yet.
this one's tough, man. If you would have asked me 2 days ago,
Before you got Jalen Warren, love?
how do you know?
Because I just know you.
You sneaky.
You rat bastard. Is that real?
You sneaky. It's actually true. I was sitting there and I was doing the podcast. If you haven't listened to it, go check out America's Game. I did it with Eric before I flew out here, and
I didn't listen to it yet. Damn it.
we went through every depth chart, just focused on the running backs, right?
Okay.
And just a quick hitter, we wanted to hit every single depth chart in the NFL right now and what the depth chart looks like for running backs, and who we're interested in. Lineup, best ball, we had a little bit of talk and we bullshit, but just quick hitters about the players, right? Not a lot of in-depth discussion. We get to the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers, man, and I look at that depth chart and it's Najee Harris, okay, Jalen Warren, and I go, I'm not a Jalen Warren guy. And absolutely nobody worth a fuck after those guys. Most teams, like even the Falcons, if you think about it, we were looking at the Falcons, it's, Bijan, Tyler Algier, and Cordell Patterson. And
for those that forget, he's still there, Cordell Patterson. He's still on the team.
I'm like, damn, I'm interested. Or we try to figure out the Colts backfield if JT's not there. It's like Zach Moss, Deion Jackson.
Yeah.
They just signed Kenyon Drake. They got, geez, I kind of got Evan Hull.
There's talk of Mr. Kareem Hunt.
My God. So you got all this, and you go, man, there's so many people I'm interested in.
Right.
We get to the Steelers, and I go, no. Like, I know Anthony McFarland is junk.
We've seen that.
I'm done. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah.
And the guys after me go, I don't even know who the hell this dude is. Like, I've never heard a good thing about him.
Scott, talk to me about who is this running back?
And Eric started talking about, Najee Harris. And, I got a lot of the same feelings about Najee where, like, hey, the offensive line's improved. They don't have a rookie quarterback anymore. It's the second year. They brought in Darnell Washington. Like, the offense as a whole is going to be much better.
Yeah.
This is also why I'm in on Najee. And I'm looking at the rest of the depth chart, and I go, if anything happens to Najee, who the fuck you think's getting the work?
Right.
It's Jalen Warren and Jalen Warren alone.
Yeah,
so
he's going to get maybe not a Najee workload, but he's going to get a ton of the large majority of those touches.
So I am much more in on Jalen Warren today than I was, let's say, yesterday.
Interesting. Okay.
That being said, I think he's a pretty damn good piece in the best ball to have in there. Which, if it wasn't, I go, geez, man, I'll take Michael Thomas over him all day, easily. I think it's a lot coming back on the other side. Except for the production for sure is on the D-Rec side.
Yeah.
And it's not just dynasty value, it's actually production. So if you're building a competitive team, I want the D-Rec side because I take what's perceived value right now. Jalen Warren, we actually don't know if he's actually going to be good because he didn't do shit for you last year. Let's be honest, production-wise. The production's all on the D-Rec side, and I think if I'm building a competitive team, that's the side I want. But I also don't hate it if I'm Blair and I'm going just for, hey, I'm not really competing. I'm just trying to maximize how much value I have on this team. Najee goes down, Jalen Warren's worth a lot to somebody.
Yeah.
JSN, that's a very safe asset to be in, even if he doesn't do a whole lot. We've talked about this a number of times. He ain't going anywhere for next year. And Jordan Addison's one of those wide receivers where there's enough swell around him. If he does enough in the season, people will be all over him.
They'll be back all over. Yeah.
Very well constructed deal on both sides for me. It just depends if this is the proper direction you're going. Like if I'm D-Rec and I'm not actually competing, then fuck no. Like I keep the value.
Well, I think it would be in a best ball. Typically, how this looks is you look at your roster today and you think you're competing, and it's either the roster construction's not right, you don't have enough depth, you didn't have enough depth before you made this trade, and now you made this trade, there is no room for error. Secret Service, consequences, and
Secret Service.
Dude, but think about this. Like, one of the things that's interesting to me about the Jalen Warren point. See, this is where, for me, the reason I'm not as in as a lot of people is because I play in a large majority best ball leagues.
Right.
My problem isn't that I agree that I didn't even need to look at the rest of the room to know that I think that he's going to be the guy that gets in, just slides in, boom, you're fake Najee for the week, you know? My biggest problem is going to be, and I don't know this yet, what is his actual week-to-week role, and how good is that in best ball?
Right.
That's my bigger problem with Jalen Warren.
I get you.
Is any running back on a 53, he's a plus. Like, he's above just the any running back on a 53. But in best ball, what I don't want to have my running back room look like is a bunch of guys that I don't even know which one's going to get work this week.
Correct.
And how many of them are. That's where, for me, I just don't know what that actually looks like for him this year. Last year, we can tell ourselves all the story we want to because Najee wasn't right. They couldn't give him enough work to do that. This year, if he's healthy, does he go back to Tomlin wants to give the work to one guy? That's my biggest question with him in a best ball league. Not the value or who the player is. I think that
I don't mind him in a best ball if he's like RB 4 or 5.
Sure, yeah, as long as he's part of the depth that you're building.
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely not relying on, 4 Jalen Warrens though in my competitive best ball.
That's where people could,
that's where
try to do a 0 RB thing and think they can get to the roster construction.
That's where you get your teeth kicked in best ball.
Yeah. So the other thing that's interesting is like, all right, Mike, let's check this out. So let's say that's 2 24s that are more like mid and Jalen Warren. How different does this trade look for you?
Looks much better if you get the first, you know what I mean?
Because what's interesting is there's still players that now your value in them is all based on what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And what is interesting too about this, if you're not, like, I hope you're not competing, because there's a scenario where both those rookies exceed expectations for what we think in points per game, but there's no guarantee of that.
Correct.
And even the production of them, even if you needed depth in your roster, might not match what A.J. Brown is.
Isn't that weird to say? Like, JSN carries some panache. Jordan Addison carries some panache. Where you just swap them out with 2 random 24 firsts. You're like mid.
Because what can I go do with that now? The possibilities are endless. Man.
It's crazy to think about, ain't it?
Impossible is nothing. All right. Let's see what we got here. Redworth is back. Redworth, man, how are you doing, buddy? It feels like I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, that's because he changed his name.
I know, that sneaky.
Discord.
Man, sneaky rat bastard.
What a dick.
Love you, Ryan. All right. Alec Pierce in the 24 first of the fantasy draft for man Cody. We're getting ready to do some work with him. He's be at the expo.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper and James Conner. So 12-team Superflex PPR, 0.75 10 and premium best ball start 12. If you watch this show, if this isn't your first time, you know all about this league. We've shown you warp on it. You've seen all kinds of deals go down. Open Mike, I mean, this league might be more popular at this point than any league that we're even a part of.
I think it might be.
It might be like the shit staple league.
This is where they all want to make deals.
Yeah.
When we're
this is
around.
like this is what they're off doing when we're not looking. Like
ungrateful.
Yeah, your wife's like, "What are you doing on your phone over there?" Wondering. Like, now we know what they're doing on their phones over there. What do you think of this deal, though, man?
Alec Pierce in the 24 first, or Amari Cooper and James Conner. Let's Cody's side for a win now team, which Cody really likes to build. Like, that's kind of his thing. He doesn't do a whole lot of rebuilding stuff, man. He usually goes for it. Like, in a win now move, I would take Amari Cooper and James Conner. I'd rather have James Conner over Alec Pierce, to be honest. Like,
for sure.
I'm also kind of in on James Conner a little bit after talking with Eric yesterday, too, because I look at that depth chart and I go, geez, he's a bunch of shitters.
James Conner comes down to what more can his body take. If he can take it, he's going to get every touch.
He gets 8 games. That's paid off.
Dude, he's going to get every single touch.
I'm big on Amari Cooper. You know how much I love him. But still, it comes down to timing for me, and I always go, I'm carrying all the risk if I push my first in already. I got to send it right now before any games are played. It's what we were just saying about James Conner, man. How much can he take? Well, he gets out there week 2 and, can't take anymore. Shit.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper, also not a
Right.
spring chicken.
Yep.
Right? Also has dealt with hamstring injuries and all kinds of shit over his career. It's a lot of risk, man, for something that could go south for me. But in a vacuum, I think I'd rather have the Cooper and James Conner side over Antoine Pierce in the 24 first. But I do understand both of these guys and why they made the trade.
Mm-hmm.
I just said anytime I got to push my first in before we actually start playing games, I go, man, it's got to be such just a slam dunk for me. Like it has to be, even if I fail, would I rather have this player or my 24 first? And I go, oh, I'd still rather have the player, even if this was the 101, the 102, the 103. Like, I got to think about it in that lens. It's tough. It's tough. Like, I pushed my first in for, like, Kyle Pitts. And this is before I found out I hate tight ends. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm comfortable pushing that first in a 14-team league because I'm like,
yeah, of course.
Even if I fail and this is the 106 or 107, would I rather have that next year or Kyle Pitts?
Right.
And I go, I'd still rather have Kyle Pitts.
You felt the insulation.
Right. You feel that insulation. Now, if Cody, I'm not even saying like fails or falls on his face, but let's just say it's falls short. Maybe it's the 108, 109. Would you rather have that pick next year or Amari Cooper at this time next year? And you go, I'm pretty sure I'd rather have the pick.
You're going to want that pick for a while.
Yeah.
With Cooper coming off the age that he has currently. I think here's what I wanted to say about this. It's very interesting. Amari Cooper in best ball right now is someone that I'm absolutely buying everywhere.
Yes.
And willing to just the next year thing. If he has any value, I know it won't be 108, but whatever his value is, if it's there, I'm pretty excited to have it because I'm already making it. You are making a 1-year bet, I think, anyone that's getting Amari Cooper, period. You should be anyway. If you're not, I think you're looking at it wrong.
Halfway crooks, man.
Yeah, man. You can't. Don't try to have your cake and eat it too.
You're scared to death.
The reason you're getting Amari Cooper is for this year, and you're hoping that Watson's there, and this is the guy. So now, if I look at this in the lens of best ball, right? I want to talk on both sides of the coin. So if you're Cody here, like Amari Cooper could still be, and last year was hovering around like that wide receiver 10 line. I mean, geez, man, that's in a best ball league. I'll pull up the open mic warp, but I'd imagine that's something you want and is going to help you in this league pretty significantly. So
that's with a crappy Deshaun Watson and Jacoby Brissett for quite a bit of time, right?
You imagine the Watson will be a little boost or better for him, you know?
A little nicer.
Look at this graph. Look how high. Like, dude, you get inside the top 12 receivers, you're already basically 1.5. But man, look at how high it goes. Amari Cooper, instantly, surprisingly enough, the 12,
1.33.
right? 1.33 last year. He could go 1.5. Yep. So I think he could help you win your league. Yeah. And James Conner, obviously, if he can stay healthy, like you said, look at that running back line, how high it gets as you get closer. So I think that could help you win. But the thing is, you're not – either one of those pieces are never going to be like, all right, you can go trade them for the moon. There's no mountain shot. Like,
done.
This is not some asset that's going to be, holy mackerel. Can you imagine what you could – that 24 first. Now –
could be.
It's already – I think this is part of the part where in best ball and lineup you'll see more of these. But people have a hard time sending their first away now. I think they're getting a lot more locked in and safe about what they'll send their pick for.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that just don't feel right, you want to talk about feelings of insulation.
Right.
The stuff that don't feel right, they don't want to send their first for. Amari Cooper's already, I think, most people aren't willing to send their first for Cooper, which speaks to the asset, like, ability to go up. Because that 24 first, if it's 108 like you're talking about, you probably didn't get some kind of crazy value jump from what you sold it for, bought it for here. But if this is a top 5 pick, a top 3, like what that could become has significantly different
change
end. Like possibility of that 24 first, there is a huge value potential swing over there. And then because that exists, what you could trade it for and sell it for at some point. That's the win now. I think if things go right, which you're already saying my team has to be built right, and this has to not get hurt and be good. Amari Cooper is getting older. He's already got a little bit of hamstring tweaks dealing with. James Conner, we've seen be hurt before. There's a lot of things that has to go right for you to have and retain what you think you're getting, which could win. That 24 first, you have, I mean, until it actualizes, so many chances to sell it for who knows what you could do with it.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Oh, man. I'm going to give some Cody some shit about this one.
I think it could still work out for you, Cody, but
good Cody.
Man,
we have to be clear. This is good Cody.
Because there's 2 Codys in this league. They'll both be with us. I'm gonna say that I want the 24 first one here, but I will say, like, if this is a little later, like if I already have a 4-0, 5-0 start or something like that, I'll throw this trade in there. That's my hesitation with it.
With you.
All right, buddy. Let's see what else we got. Mr. Wonderful. Whoa, hold on. Showstopper, man. We got a Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes trade.
Holy shit.
Joe Burrow, a 25 first and a 26 first for Patrick Mahomes and Cam Akers. 12-team, 2-quarterback PPR, 1.0 tight end premium. Best ball start 12 with 2 tight ends. The Premier League. Mike.
Come on, man. This is easy.
What are we doing?
Patrick Mahomes is dope. He's really dope. But Joe Burrow is also very dope himself. God, there was no fucking way.
The Tiger King?
Yeah, there's no way. I will tear down off of all my Patrick Mahomes in a heartbeat for Joe Burrow in 2 first. And you can have all of your guy Cam Akers. I'll throw them all in. Here you go. You want a J.K. Dobbins too? You can have him. Hey, maybe some Antonio Gibson. You can have him.
Well, let's just let me play let's just talk about some things. Not saying you're wrong, by the way. I'm thinking a couple things out here. I'm seeing how many leagues Mr. Wonderful's in.
A lot.
Yeah, love to see that. All right, so Mike, let me just ask you a question here. Let's dumb this down like we like to do. All right.
Oh my God, look at those quarterbacks.
Well, but just Joe Burrow and a 26 first or Patrick Mahomes. That's sending you right now.
Joe Burrow in the first.
Really?
Best ball league? Yes, no question.
Even in 26.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might make them pay more just because it's so far out.
That's fair.
It's not even that the value. I don't think the point I'm actually trying to make is not that the value's wrong. Joe Burrow in a first versus Patrick Mahomes in a best ball league. I think some people want Mahomes, but I could make the case and tell you already. I'd just rather the 2 because I'm already staying so high at QB. But it's, to me, part of the problem with that is it's a 26 first. No, I'm not letting you basically get Patrick Mahomes and not have to worry about it for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not doing that. 24-25, all right, like, yeah, I'll take that Burrow side. That's my biggest problem with this. Not only does he get Mahomes, and I think that in best ball, as much as I love Akers, I'm not going to argue him for a first. I'm just not doing it. This is one of those things where the value is definitely to the top. And also, you're betting against J.C. Owen, like, when time does come around. Oh, buddy, I hope that Patrick Mahomes is helping you win because I got these, right?
Hope we got you a title or 2.
But it's like now I'm looking at a best ball league. You get Cam Akers, who has, in this line, Mike, very, very high ability. Like that already could help you win the league. I don't want to let you get away with the devaluing of these assets. That's one of the problems I have with it. I still want the Burrow side. That would be my only qualm of, like, could you have gotten a 24 and a 25 and you make him feel it now? The devil's advocate side would be Mr. Wonderful is like, dude, he's already sent away his first and 24. This team's worth betting against. Let me take those picks.
That warp graph on the running backs is so high. Like,
bro, those running backs are with the quarterbacks are above the whole way.
So even if you said it was Joe Burrow in the 25 first for Patrick Mahomes, he sent a 26 first for Cam Akers, which with this warp graph you go, that's a reasonable bet, right, for that far out. Not as bad for Jake Owen. Just me, anytime I don't think there's a first difference at all. 25, 26, whatever.
In best ball?
In lineup, too, between the number 1 quarterback and the number 4 quarterback. I don't think so.
I agree with that. Oh, you mean as far as just remove names, warp, 1 and 4 does not really mean a difference.
And in reality, too, not just in warp, but in dynasty value, I don't think that gap should be that big. Like, it probably goes down to like 6 or 7, to be honest, between Patrick Mahomes is awesome. And if you do like, hey, would you rather have Patrick Mahomes or Trevor Lawrence? I want Patrick Mahomes.
Of course.
But if you told me that my pivot down was Patrick Mahomes to Trevor Lawrence and any kind of first, like I just want that leverage, period. You factor in it's a best ball league, I'm in. I understand the 22 warp graph. Like any one that you look at, Adam.
It's going to go 4 and then steep.
You got that drop off. But go look at 21.
Right.
Go look at 20. Go look at 19. Like it's 1, but then it's a lot more all the way down until about at least 8, 9, 10, depending on which year or what league settings you're looking at. So
right.
I think just historically, I'm willing to make the bet that if I can stay within the top 8 quarterback range and you want to give me any kind of first on top of it, that's a tier down I'm willing to take 10 out of 10. But I sure as hell think Patrick Mahomes and that next group of 3, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, however you want to rank them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe if you got out to like 2029 first, it's that deep value, and I go, all right, you got to pay more. But you put a first on there, I'm just going to carry it around where I'm making the bet I got 80, 90% of Patrick Mahomes, and I got a first coming to me at some point. So
I mean, I can see your reasoning, and I'm not saying you can't view it the same way. I just when we're talking an asset of Patrick Mahomes, I mean this is 2 QB league. Like this is the premier asset that exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like you bet. For me, I just want to make sure that everyone hearing this and what I'm saying is, I don't want to just start letting people acquire those assets right now for 26 picks, especially when we are looking at you better know how you feel about this league and these league mates. I've seen it's a big hot topic right now. How comfortable do you feel about your league even being here in 26? Mike, when we run with South Harmon, we know these leagues ain't going anywhere.
To a fault. Like I will pay it out of my pocket to keep this thing going.
we will find you when I will find you. We're gonna find a shithead. We're gonna make sure that league gets filled. We have filled, unfortunately, to admit, some absolute atrocious dog shit orphans, but they get filled. I know that league is going nowhere. I don't know the Premier League. I don't know if this is your buddies. What I don't want to do is let you get Patrick Mahomes when you don't have the intention of even being here in 26.
True.
And I think that's one of the things that in this to be cautious of is like you're letting him basically get. What would it cost to get Burrow to Mahomes in a lot of leagues? It's going to cost you something. I don't care if it's
right.
I'm not just letting you do it, and this is a fictitious pick that you never. That's what I would be careful of if you don't know the people in your leagues. That's a different conversation. But like when it's that far out, and I know the league's around, I'll wait on that value.
I get you.
But a lot of times it's not that way for every single league. Anyway, 12-team Superflex PPR lineup start 10.
Shaboa!
4th, and go fuck yourself.
These league names today have been.
I'll tell you what, man. Yeah, you know how when we read the team names, you're kind of like, man, like look at some of these team names. I think now that we're doing the Warp Tool, the league names are maybe better than the team names.
I think so too.
You know what? Because it's also like you don't have to have it next to your avatar. Like you can kind of get creative in the league name, and no one even has to read it. Like you can get away with it better. Yep. Danny Dimes, Marvin Mims, Zach Charbonnet, and speaking of, Kyle Pitts in a second. Where you at?
I'm taking this is gross. I'm taking the quarterback and Mims and
wow.
And not even like the.
Y'all can't see it, but there's still a Pitts unicorn over there. Mike, this is a huge change from where you were a year ago.
The lineup start 10. There's a possibility Mims falls into that threshold receiver range, but it's unlikely. So let me just say this doesn't factor a lot in my decision. Charbonnet definitely could be that guy, even in a lineup start 10 where your spot starts, whatever, running back depth. And then just in general, Adam, I mean, there's no tight end premium listed here.
Nope.
So it's not going to look very good on the whole the tight end warp scale.
Sorry, I don't have warp up yet. You go try to type in the base Shaboba on Warp Tool, all right? Sorry to interrupt you, Mike.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts in the second. Like I'd send this away to get Danny Dimes, and this is how far we've come on Dimes, where there's a possibility Dimes could be a top 8, 9, 10, 11 fantasy producer.
Now imagine saying that, like, and how unpredictable that would be.
God, look at this tight end graph.
Dun, dun, dun.
Even when you get to the guys that
Dude, that's bad, bro. That's pretty bad.
When you get to guys that should matter, right? Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson.
But Mike, look at
under 1. No one gives a shit.
I was just gonna say, look at everyone seeing this. Christian, make sure you put this up. That's a cue. And when he goes through, he's trying to figure out where to put it. Christian, this is where you put it up, okay?
Right here.
Tight end 12 is basically 0. Understand that. In Warp, 12 tight ends even were ahead of 0. And then it's literally telling you after that, it does not matter at all, so much to the point that carrying too many of them it's just not worth having.
Detrimental.
Mike, David Njoku was .07 in Warp.
0.07.
Like that, it's literally just variance at that point.
Yep.
Man. And if this is a no tight end premium, yes. It's not even close. I mean, there's probably Warp graphs where I could make more of a case for Pitts. And it's going to then become,
What was Dimes last year?
In this league, probably around 12. Let's take out some of these lines. I'll tell you.
Just look at tight ends and quarterback.
Oh, well, don't do that. That's going to be – I'm just kidding. I can do it for you. It's going to look really bad. But I'm going to guess Dimes was around the 12 range, right? Oh, 10, ahead of Herbert.
1.35.
Here's the thing with this trade. If this now that it's non-tight end premium, this is not even a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely off the charts ridiculous. If the tight end position didn't look this bad, the discussion for me would have been, for everyone listening wants to know, like, what were you going to say? Danny Dimes is a guy that I feel like we feel a lot more secure about now, but we've already seen it not be great for him. The difference is he's gotten paid. So he's not going like just going to go away. That's not going to value shrink to the point of 0. But that whole thing over there is basically long term. You're betting on Dimes, and if he ends up being a total whiff, if Saquon either gets hurt or ends up still not being happy, he could go to 0. But here's the thing: seeing this line, Kyle Pitts is already 0. So you at least give yourself a shot to not be.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting it to be that bad. The non-tight end premium in this tells you, holy mackerel. Just get off of anyone that isn't the ones that are actually today scoring those points. And Kyle Pitts, we don't know if he is. So
sorry, Kyle.
I was getting ready to defend him, and that no chance in hell with that warp graph. Holy mac. That's crazy. That might be the worst one I've seen, honestly. 12-team Superflex PPR. 1.0 tight end premium, lineup start 10, Pugs Dynasty, Lisa Button, Darren Waller, Dalvin Cook, DJ Moore, and Alan Lazard with the pigskin. Mike, what do you think here?
Darren Waller, Dalvin Cook, DJ Moore, and Alan Lazard.
Mm-hmm.
Lineup start 10, I'd give 0 shits about Alan Lazard.
No.
At all. I think I'm going to take the Darren Waller, Dalvin Cook side. Even though he just kind of shit-talked tight ends.
Okay.
I still think, like, the DJ Moore range, unless he's super elite, isn't going to factor out in a 1.0 tight end premium with Darren Waller and Dalvin Cook. Like, I think as a whole combined, those guys are both guys that you could start even in a start 10 versus one DJ Moore, because you're never starting an Alan Lazard in a start 10. If you got to start Alan Lazard in a start 10, you're fucked.
For sure.
I think this is.
I agree on the Allen.
I think this is a good 2-for-1 tear down where they're both usable pieces, and I'm willing to get off of DJ Moore for it.
Okay. I could see. I'm actually. This is going to be one where I want to look at Warp, and the reason I say that is a couple things. But I look at the Warp here, Mike. So Pugs Dynasty, like, I think in Warp we're probably looking at a guy that's around the 20 range. You know,
for
this
DJ
season.
Moore?
This season, I think he's like a top 20-ish wide receiver.
DJ Moore, yeah, that's fair. Just say 20.
All right, so let's use that. Let's go with that. Because here's what I'm seeing about this, and this is part of the reason I wanted to talk about this and the way you construct your team. One of the things I think that we need to talk about we'll pull up roster construction. I don't know what your team is, by the way, Lisa, but okay, it says 4. Realistically, the way I'm going to play it is I'm going to have a lot more than 4. I'm probably going to have like 6 that I really like.
Right.
Now, because in lineup to start 10, typically you can start 4 receivers. So I want to have 4, and I want to probably have 2 more with a good value. What I don't want to do is have too many decisions, and I want to have at least the right value asset. So for me, I think knowing that, the reason I wanted to talk about this is I want to have basically probably, if I can get one of the elite ones. If I don't, obviously, I want to have ones that I think can score high, and the rest be in that top 24 range, 20, 30 range, right? And the reason that you do that and the reason where DJ Moore's a little different for me in this league is I think he fits that mold perfect. One of my 6. And now I can just have them, and I'm good. I have injury protection. I have a little bit of bye week insulation. But then if I ever get to the point where someone wants to trade, we talk about tiers. Unlike you want to pick who you want in a tier, okay, give me the plus. Now what's great about this is you don't have to say, I want to sell my Mike Williams. One of these guys that isn't going to sell you anything. They come to you and they'll tell you which receiver they want. Good. You take DJ Moore. I'm going to be able to liquidate and feel great about just getting off of him because they're picking their guy in this range. Look at how flat that line is, where 20 is. It's really in this league almost the same as 12.
Yeah.
Like I want to have all those guys there in that range, and then if you want to trade me out of those 6, like so for me, DJ Moore means more to my team personally, the way I'm going to roster construct now in a league like this, than it would have in the past. So that's where I'll still take DJ Moore here because Dalvin Cook, as much as I like him, I don't know what his situation's going to be. Darren Waller, I look at Warp in this league. He's going to have to be the old Darren Waller to matter to me. And I don't want to make that bet.
Who is like RB20 in this?
Let's pull it up. Let's go to 20. So we're looking at Kenneth Walker, 0.55.
Can you find anybody crustier?
Yeah, of course.
Jerick McKinnon.
There you go, Jet McKinnon.
Can Dalvin Cook be Jerick McKinnon as far as warp goes?
How about the guy right next to him, Alvin Kamara?
Very easily, right? 0.56, right? And all I got to get to is DJ Moore, if he's wide receiver 18, is point, 9, 7?
Yep.
I guarantee Darren Waller gives me that to make up for it. If you just project him even as tight end 12.
For sure.
I can do the simple math in my head and go like those 2-for-1s. Both of these guys I would start at positions. So that's why I'm kind of like, if I'm competing, I don't mind breaking this up into Waller and Cook because I'm going to start Waller every single week. Dalvin Cook is probably a RB2 for me.
Sure.
Easily.
I mean, and I get that, and I'm not going to tell you can't take the other side or that like you're crazy for it.
I get exactly what you're saying.
But my point is the guy that you talked about, the crusty one, like, you know where I can get Jet McKinnon? By not having to get rid of my DJ Moore.
That's true.
And you know what I can figure out to get rid of Darren Waller? Not leave my DJ Moore out of this. Like, I can find a way to get to – I mean, I'd have to go back to a different year to see Waller's. But, like, you know, I'm looking here in Njoku's, Tyler Conklin's. Like, I could probably replace that without sending away picks or things to my roster that matter. I can basically – my point is I can address what Dalvin Cook means to my team probably and what Darren Waller means to my team without really touching what my core roster is.
I get you.
That's my point with that one. So, now if you already had too many receivers and you wanted to make that trade, I think that'd be another discussion where I might even agree with what you're saying. 10-team Superflex PPR, 0.5 tight end premium, lineup start 10. Holy macro, these league names. Matt sucks at picking league names. That's the name of the league. What do you think, Mike? George Kittle, Rashad Bateman. Oh, wow. The Dalton Kincaid thing.
Yeah. I've taken Kittle and Bateman here.
So
even though
his values rose when I say his, I'm talking about Dalton Kincaid. When I was on vacation and we did the the AMA that we finally got to work. Yeah. No, sorry Fizzle, no audio on it, but we did it, man. we got through it. It was already kind of for me hitting like what I thought was going to be the peak. Like it's we are just kind of lunatics
We've
about
reached
it.
It's not going
there's
any
no
higher.
way it goes higher. We're already lunatics,
Yeah,
right?
it goes
Like the season's approaching. And I think it's because people haven't seen them fail yet, and they're already wanting to lean into 100%. Youth. It's actually gone even higher than I could have anticipated it ever even getting before him actually smashing, which we don't even know if that happens, if that's a real thing. Like, I talked about this then, though. Like, I said, can we at that point, where his value wasn't as high, if there's actual value, can I basically take my Dalton Kincaid and add to it to get to George Kittle? Mm-hmm. I'm like, isn't that a trade we should make? And we're both like, yeah.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Well, guys, I'm sorry if you did that because fast forward to August and ta-da!
Now you got to
now the plus is on the other side, Mike. The plus is on the other side.
You got to add to your George Kittle to get Dalton Kincaid.
Here, you can take. I'll tell you what I'll give you is the mystery box hope of Rashad Bateman. Once 5th, 6th round startup pick. Here, you can have this guy too.
Yep.
Mike, this is. I want to make sure I make this point. Dalton Kincaid, and you look at the tight end line on, well, I don't have it up yet. Sorry, everyone. That kind of just ruined the thought. But when I pull it up, if this tight end line is reasonable, we don't even know when if Dalton Kincaid meets that.
It's probably not going to be reasonable. It's a 10-team half-point PPR. No one gives a shit.
I'd imagine it's not. I'd imagine it's going to be a few guys. But
it'll be like 2 players above the 0.
Mike, but I mean, like, let's even say that you could tell me right now. This is the other point I'll make it again. If you could tell me right now that Dalton Kincaid is going to hit, like that, I'm not saying his rookie season. I'm saying, like, for a fact that you have a crystal ball that tells you Magic 8 Ball. Is Dalton Kincaid going to be a tight end that matters? And it says yes. Okay. When? And then
how much does it matter?
And even then, let's just say we know that it matters enough. It's like let's say he's going to basically become like a Kittle.
Okay.
The only difference you have is, like, it's going to be like 6-7 years in age. But why do I have to have 6-7 years of not Travis Kelce on my team and 10-team half PPR tight end premium?
Right.
Like, give me the plus, and then also the fact that I think when George Kittle's healthy, I'd rather just have him on this team.
Right.
I can just set it and forget it every time he's healthy. The best part about Kittle, the worst part about him are the same for me. I want him to play all the time, and he's not always likely to play.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that, and I'll just press the button on somebody else most times, right? Like,
right.
Dalton Kincaid to me is going to be so frustrating in this league. I don't think people realize he's going to be so frustrating to them to start. Like, all you're going to think you have a set it and forget it. In about week 8, you're like, you finally have realized,
I got to stop playing this.
The only thing that's being forgotten is my team having a chance to win by doing this.
I've been better off if I played his teammate Dawson Knox.
I don't know, man. Take it from me. I don't know what to say.
I didn't think we'd get any higher, man, but we have. And the crazy part about now we got to add to George Kittle to get to Dalton Kincaid, apparently. People are going to be sorely disappointed. I know it's not the worst thing to think of, what if Dalton Kincaid has one of these seasons like Kyle Pitts or Evan Ingram. Like, is it possible? Yeah, but how many times have we said that or actually seen it, right? Like DJ Hawkinson. Noah Fant, remember that tight end class? Man, look at the draft capital these guys got, both first-round guys. Right. Did any of them come any close to producing their rookie year?
What is producing? Because the answer is no.
Correct. Like, that's what we're more likely to see. Like, people are like, oh, you guys all say that it can't happen. And here, just because something did happen doesn't mean it's likely to happen. And this is the bet that you're making on Dalton Kincaid right now. And that's a bet that I'm not comfortable with.
Right. It's too much.
We go to the casino tonight, and I put it down on red 18. Is it likely to hit? No. Could it hit? Yeah.
You know how likely it is to hit? you know the odds there. But I at least know the odds there.
If I knew for a fact, or I was 90% sure this is going to happen, or it actually hits all the time, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be a multi-billionaire somewhere because I'm so damn good at playing roulette. Yep. I can predict what number's coming.
You can actually see the future.
We can't. It's all odds. It's chance. It just doesn't happen.
Look at this warp, though, for a second, everybody.
Yuck.
Christian, there's your cue.
For your own trade.
Dude, think about this, though. Mike, there's I'm going to say 6, and this is not – there's 6 that even look different.
Right.
I'm not even going to say matter, that look different. So, like, if you even want to make the case, because it's 10-team, oh, Koopa, what'd you do to me, man?
Yeah, that's all right.
It went away. That's like less than a half. I can just eyeball that. Mm-hmm. There's 2 guys that got close to 1. You are betting on Dalton Kincaid being what George Kittle has been at times for a long period of time on this bet. Mm-hmm. And I understand the 10-team, Rashad Bateman probably is like, I don't even care. Like, I'll happily lose him.
No one gives a shit.
But if Dalton Kincaid isn't a top 3, top 5 tight end in the next several years, like, you've literally just
pissed it away.
I mean, it like a magic trick. It's gone for nothing. Nothing.
You're not getting it back.
Well, you're not getting. You may never get back what Dalton Kincaid. I'm gonna make I'm gonna make people hot here. It's not really a hot take. You're gonna be really mad if you made this trade, because guess what? Dalton Kincaid, I called my shot a few months ago and I was wrong. I'm gonna call it again. He may have hit his peak of his dynasty career right now.
Oh, we're screwed. He's going to number 1 now. Thanks a lot.
Well, I mean, that's what you're betting on, though.
That's the only spot
making this type of trade. He's got to be like 1, 2, or 3 for it to make any sense for you for Warp. Just there's no reason.
Can we get a Dalton Kincaid with angel wings on this one?
I'll tell you what. If Travis Kelce, Cliffs, and
we could fit it somewhere around here.
Yeah, we'll put it over the electrical box. That's what it is. He's the electrical box.
Shocking.
No, man. No, I'm not There's no way, dude. I couldn't imagine that, man. All right, Mike. So let's get into the next one here. Red Pill Stepdad. Bryce Young on 24 second. Going to M. Bell 24. Garrett Wilson to 24 third. Mike, this is 12 team Superflex full PPR with a half-point tight end premium. Lineup start 10. 48 laws. 48 laws, league name. I don't know.
This is a second trade. I go, how the hell do you get the plus on it? Like, how do you get the plus? How do you get the better pick? I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I mean, I guess in this one, I can at least. I think people will tell themselves a story, Mike. When I look at this, where it's like, we're already, as much as I love Garrett Wilson, a lot of people are just all saying he's gonna matter this year. We know it. We saw it last year, but no, he actually didn't matter last year for a full season.
No,
there's enough of a sample size in how he did with Rodgers coming over to project him there, but he's not already there. I think there's a story where what's kind of funny about this, it helps illustrate the point we want to make. Bryce Young, we don't know. We're still projecting, but we didn't see. We also are doing the same thing with Garrett Wilson still. His dynasty value is very, very good. He feels like a safe asset, but we're projecting a little bit. With Bryce Young, I know it feels a little more unsafe, but that's just because of dynasty value. We have not seen Garrett Wilson go out and have a top 5 year at the wide receiver position. It hasn't happened yet. I think that's what's being paid for right now, though.
You know what's a pretty safe bet? The number 1 overall pick at quarterback.
I mean, I don't know that I think this is my projection with him. I think he could lose a little bit of value in the season just because he's already inflated because we've had him over the summer.
Yes.
But the reality is, what would he have to do to start Zach Wilson type shit? I don't think that's happening.
Not in year 1. Not a lot of stuff's going to go wrong in year 1.
The only thing that could is a very, very significant injury, and that can happen to any player at any position.
Yeah. That'd be like a Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm talking not just a standard ACL. I'm talking like something really bad
horrible,
happens. Yeah.
Right. Where like people are crying on the sideline, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Teddy Bridgewater's ACL apparently was pretty damn bad.
Like if Bryce took they said it looked so bad that guys were getting sick.
Right.
But I mean, like with Bryce Young, I think he's pretty value insulated. I think he's a little more polarizing. I think people are more unsure of what he's going to be, his size, the stuff he had in college.
Because he does look tiny.
Yeah.
You see him behind an NFL offensive line, you're like, I know you played at Bama, but it never really registered. Yeah. For whatever reason, I see you in Carolina behind those guys. You go, holy hell.
Watch when he takes his first snap and people start really leaning into the size thing.
Why couldn't we get him and Deuce Vaughn on the same team?
You could. Red Pill Stepdad's team.
I want the same NFL team. I want to see Bryce Young handed off to Deuce Vaughn.
That'd be pretty sweet. Be like Muggsy Bogues and
Spudwell
on the same team. Exactly what I was thinking.
It's quarterbacks, it's super flex, it's 12 team, all the above, man. All the reasons that I love. I'd rather have the quarterback here, especially for a wide receiver. I haven't seen actually do it. Adam,
so is there a case? Let me just ask you this, because I know as like a blanket statement.
Let me just say, instead of Garrett Wilson,
okay, I
changed the name to CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
Would you rather have CeeDee Lamb in the third or Bryce Young in the second?
It's still going to be dependent to my team and situation. I could make the case for CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I probably want the Bryce Young side. Like I want the Bryce Young side because of the way I dynasty.
Okay.
Like, and that's part of I think something that I wanted to mention for when you hear Mike and I talk about this. Understand that we make episodes, and the reason we can make so many episodes on is because we do this shit. You know, I wish you were wearing the T-shirt. We QB hoard. Like
we do.
It's not a one-time thing. It's not a here's a quick guide on how. We live this. It's a lifestyle. We have a quarterback horde lifestyle, right? So like, to me, I'm already seeing
prestige
what I'm going to do wide. No, but I'm already looking at what am I going to do with Bryce Young now? How do I make this a play that wins me back value at the other positions? Because I think I can exploit that at quarterback where I can't at other positions. That's already baked into the reason I'm always going to say Bryce Young pretty much.
Here's the thing for me when I look at it too. If I bring Bryce Young to the table to try to get into the top 8 quarterbacks, people are interested because he's a quarterback and he's young. If I bring Garrett Wilson to the table to try to get into the top 8 quarterbacks,
different story.
People will fuck out of here.
No, and I'm with you there. I think the reason I also wanted to illustrate why I want the Bryce Young side here, and I think a lot of times this is where some of the disconnects can happen when you listen to our content if you don't play the way, and that's fine. I'm not telling you have to play it that way, but what I'm getting ready to say, Mike, is I think a lot of times what happens here is the people, if the quarterback horde is something you fight, like you don't want to do it, you're not going to ever lean into it, and you haven't actually actualized value from it, you're kind of like, why would you do that?
Right.
You don't understand. So some people, if you're rostered constructed right, like so, Mike, for example, let's say you had that CeeDee Lamb scenario. I'm pointing. You could probably like, why is Adam pointing? That's where Mike and I are looking. All right, I just wanted to make sure. I see myself do it. I don't know what to. It's so good. So when you see this trade though, if you had, let's say, 2 top 12s. So let's say you got Watson and Mahomes.
Yeah.
I think guys there are like, all right, this is my quarterback 3. I want Garrett Wilson. I want a guy that I can put in my lineup, and then they'll figure out, like, can I get Mac Jones back or something like that as my quarterback 3. I think a lot of people, that's part of the process for them is they just want to have the 2. They don't want to mess around with anything past that, and they want to make sure that the rest of the day they juice up. So I think that's where the disconnect from where we think, and I think sometimes I wanted to illustrate that for everyone listening too, to where there's different process plays, and that's where with like Scott's trade, if you're gonna goat rings, if you're gonna make that trade, then you better keep going through the whole process. Otherwise, you're kind of leaving a bunch of money on the table. You know?
Right. Go through the whole thing. Otherwise, you're just half-assing it.
You just have one piece of the puzzle, and what does that mean?
Okay. All right. Makes more sense to me now. I can see it. Just the way I live, though, Bryce Young in the second.
And that's where see, my thing is, even if I had those 3, I'm like, okay, I know I can shoot north of this someday. Now, the problem there is I think that's where I may end up to try to shoot north of that, hold Bryce Young for a year where he's not giving me value in my roster.
That's fine.
But I'm looking to exploit higher, which is what me and you are always doing.
Yep.
So anyway, to pick a side here, I want Bryce Young. But if you were in that scenario where you had him as your quarterback 3, and you're like, man, let's say you lucked into a pick. Like you had a contender last year. This is how you probably have it. You had a contender last year. Someone sent you their pick, and you're like, oh, buddy, I'm not letting this pick leave, right? You take Bryce Young. Man, I kind of got found money here. I had to throw my second in, but I got Garrett Wilson. Like I think that's how it kind of happens. I want Bryce here because I know what I can do with it. But if you want it, if that's the story and that's how you get Garrett Wilson, I'm not going to fight you, man, at all. I just think that's a great point that you made, though, too, Mike, at the end there. Understand if something bad happens to your QB room, you're now shopping with Garrett Wilson at the table. So, for example, if you had that scenario, Watson or Mahomes goes down, we know Mahomes' value is safe as hell. But you got to find a way to get a quarterback in your lineup. Garrett Wilson isn't going to come save you there. So, good point. 12-team, 2-quarterback PPR.
Speaking of Bryce Young.
1.5 tight end premium, 0.3 points per carry, best ball start 16, 2 tight end.
Speaking of Bryce Young.
If you know, you know. The South Harmon Dynasty Degenerates. Bryce Young is back. This is a
what a league.
I love this league. You know why? I made this league. Mike and I, this is a shithead league.
This is an abomination.
This is what we call cruel on-site learning. You have to learn what happens on this. I don't think there's many people playing in this type of a. Even a start 16 is what I'm getting at first.
There's no.
Not to mention the all the extra pieces.
That's why you got all the emojis down at the bottom of this trade.
Love it. All right, let's actually read it.
Shocked, shit, fire.
All of it. B. Hall and Mr. Wonderful make a massive trade here. Bryce Young is being acquired by Mr. Wonderful for. And also a 24 first, a 24 second, a 25 first, a 25 second, a 26 first, and a 26 second. I love seeing these where it's like Bryce Young and the rest of my future. 4, Rashee Rice, Josh Allen, Gabe Davis getting that stack, Joshua Kelly, Tutu Atwell, Rachaad White, Tank Dell, Tajay Spears, and a 25 fourth. Mike, I already got a lot of thoughts on my mind right now. I'll let you go ahead.
I'm upset that B Hall finally opens his legs, and it's always for anyone but me.
You know what I like? That Mike's on the casting couch, still wondering why no one's there to join him, and no one's opening their legs for him. Mike, eventually you have to realize that if people keep doing the same thing over and over, there's something else there. These things don't shock me anymore. But talk to the people though for real about like what you see in this trade.
All right, so the 3 firsts in Bryce Young or Josh Allen in a best ball league. Like Josh Allen's dope, man, but I'd definitely go down to Bryce Young and just roll the dice, and I take your 3 firsts.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 seconds for the rest of the junk. Like, just give me the picks.
So it's funny that's the first thing that jumps out at me immediately is, all right, I already know, I've seen these deals enough in trade shows and in leagues I'm in. I saw this trade happen live. Mm-hmm. I've seen this story of this, right? And the story is, here, you take all my future, I want all you right now. And you know the size of those 2 bets, and it tends to make sense. What's different about this one, and B Hall, I'm sorry, buddy, but you know how it comes, man. It's open season. You're going to have to open your legs for ATM right now because I'm not saving anything. I'm telling you exactly how it is. The air here is
too much youth.
Dude, but the players you're getting back, Josh Kelly does not really count for me. Like, we talk depth all we want. Josh Kelly is actually not only a player that's in the way, he's actually worse. I'd rather have a pick because I don't have to. Josh Kelly actually is on my roster. So think about in best ball. You have a full roster list, right? Top to bottom. If it's a player, that immediately is movable, and every week, if it's the right type of player, goes up and down. The picks are literally on the lower line. They're out of that mix. So they don't count towards your roster. Josh Kelly, to me, is actually worse because not only is he not going to probably score and have a role, he's in the wrong part. He's on my roster.
Yes.
Tank Dell, Tutu Atwell, and honestly, Rashee Rice, I know there's at least value there.
Yeah.
But, like, we don't know what the hell that is. I'm not willing to bet on that as a best ball.
Could be Sky Moore.
So, that's...
You just gave up your entire
What if he's not even Sky Moore because Sky Moore's still there?
It could be.
Point is...
He gets Sky Moore.
Point is, the point I'm making in a long way, messing with B Hall, you're doing this trade, which I've seen happen, and it makes sense, where you're getting back 8 players for all those picks, and you're like, all right, I got 8 assets that I would not have been able to get elsewhere that every week are going to move in and out of my lineup, and that's just that is humongous. That speaks volume in best ball. But you didn't do that. You got 4 players back. And that's being nice. I don't even know if Tajay Spears. Mike, there's a chance where it's literally Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, and Rachaad White are the only 3 that realistically give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight that point because that was the first thing I saw before we even get to the Allen and the Bryce Young, which you went to.
And the other guys are taking up space.
They're the worst
space.
I'd rather just have the pick because they're not going to go in and out, and they're taking up the bench spots.
They're taking up the bench spots in a start 16,
which
you need to maximize the amount of shots you have to fill those 16 spots every single week.
And I guess because it is the league that I created, this people are calling it a abomination, whatever it is. I guess in start 16 there's going to be more chances for Josh Kelly to start, but if he's in your start 16, that's not good for your team
because there'll be somebody else who's done it correctly who's not starting a Josh Kelly.
So here's my thing, Mike. Let's even B-Hall, you're already adding negatives to your test score for doing it that way. Let's even now, let's say I was able to take those away. Now I think I got to talk about Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, and Rachaad White. Would you do that for all that shit you sent up on the top?
No.
And that's the point. And that's where, for me, that's the process and the way I wanted to explain it so everyone understood how I got to that point. I like Josh Allen a lot, man. I've seen, and I will say this all the time, if I'm going to overpay in best ball, it's always going to be to get an elite quarterback.
Correct.
However, caveats would be if I'm sending just away 3 first, Done. I will figure it out later because I get Josh Allen. I'm not going to add back, while he's not an elite one, what's valued near top 12 quarterback in the package of that, right?
Yes.
That's the part that kills it for me there. And Gabe Davis, as much as I like him and want the stack, dude, I'm kind of good on anything past. I don't even know if I would do 2 seconds. You give me a second or Gabe Davis, I want Gabe Davis all day. But like we get to the point where it's all the stuff in there. I'm good on Gabe Davis.
This
man.
is like Mac Jones and those 3 firsts for Josh Allen in a best ball. Even then, I'm going, it's best ball.
I could make my case of where I know I'm overpaying, but
it's Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Yes.
And if I do the process right, I can take those swings. But
and then we move it up to, a guy who is top 12 as far as keep trade cut and some of these other places are concerned.
Right.
I'm going, no way.
Now, to really lean into B-Hall, because at this point it's open season.
I think I got 3 firsts straight up for just Deshaun Watson, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mike, let me ask you this now. Let's get to nut cutting time.
Yeah.
Let's take Bryce Young out of the deal. Let's reevaluate. Would you even make the deal then?
I think I can make a bigger case.
I would
for
too.
It. Yes.
I would too.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I would do though?
Much bigger case.
Basically probably drop some of these players, or just like, here, you can keep them and give me back another 4th or something. But yeah, I would send 3 firsts and 3 seconds for Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, and Rachaad White in best ball.
Yeah.
I would do it.
I'd probably send 3 firsts and a couple seconds just for Josh Allen.
That's my point. But what I'm trying to do is highlight how much Bryce Young being added to that in the quarterback buying is insane. And then also on the back end, which I talked about first, like if I'm going to make this trip, I've done these. Mike and I feel like we kind of started it being a thing of just
these massive deals back
all at once. Here's a giant swing in values. But
what do you always ask for? Like if you do it, you come to me and you're like, I'm going to give you all my picks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, perfect. I'm taking all your picks. What old dudes do you want?
Here.
I never include the Kendre Millers and like these kind of guys, or the Rashee Rices, the Jonathan Mingles, the Jaden Reeds. You're always like, I want the Tyler Lockett. I want you got a Khalif Raymond. He could have a week or two.
This Khalif Raymond guy, I know you're not going to want him on your team.
Exactly. You got this dude. Like, I want people who are going to potentially score points, and if they don't have a role done off, I don't want a Tajay Spears or a Tank Dell where I'm going, they have dynasty value, but they're just not doing shit for production. So, like, they have to stay. Nobody wants to trade for them, and they're not actually doing anything for my team. That's the shitty part. Right.
I think, man, that's the highlight, is where if you're going to make this type of a trade, which I feel like it's a good thing, this is the South Harmon Dynasty Degenerate League. This has a lot of South Harmon feel to it, that trade. But if you're going to take the player side, which I've done, I'm all for. I know it starts 16, and it's like, man, I just need bodies. I mean, in this league, you're just like, I need bodies. I don't know what the roster limit is, but it's got to be in the 40s.
I would imagine.
So you want bodies, and I get it, but like, dude, I'm telling you, Josh Kelly is not really count as a body. It's just, be careful of the bodies you're taking back.
Too many bodies.
All of them.
All the bodies, catching bodies.
All right, B-Hall. Next one you'll do better. I'm pretty sure of it.
Hey, look, same fucking league.
No shit, Mr. Wonderful.
What?
What did
No way.
What did No way.
Fuck's sake.
What did Mr. Wonderful? Him and Blitz like cool in the DMs, like, hey man, I need a couple of these. I
think he did.
Throw these out there for.
I think he did.
I see you guys out here, you know.
He's trying to catch
you guys are making leagues behind our backs. You guys are DMing, but you guys are best friends behind our backs. No, I love to see that shit. All right, Mike.
He's trying to catch me.
What you don't need to hear is me reread all the settings again.
Correct.
Which people are probably like, thank God. Castle Black, Dawson Knox, Mac Jones, Kyron Williams. Speaking of bodies, 24 5th and 25 5th. I know we have them. I didn't realize people were taking them as currency in 2025. 24 first and 24 third. So I'm like, this is a package a bunch of stuff together to get to a first.
I love the fact that Mr. Wonderful greased a damn third round pick out of him as well. Like, come on, man. I'm giving you Kyron.
That's the part. I think that's the finesse move, is where'd the third come from? Mike and I will defend Mac Jones to death.
Yes.
Best ball league like this,
ain't
give
worth
me
the
a lot
first.
of Mac. Like, I get it, but
He ain't worth the first.
dude,
He ain't worth the first in a start 16 Adam Superflex as well. Where you go?
nope.
Shit.
Well, and I'm gonna pull up Warp because this is the first time we've needed to. Sorry, B Hall again. I told you I was done, but
Yeah,
I guess I wasn't.
He ain't worth the first.
So I'm gonna actually pull up Warp about what you're talking about there because I don't think people can visualize it. And start 16 because even in 2QB, like that, part of what I wanted to do here was highlight points that I didn't even know how to yet. But when you have two quarterbacks, that tends to make the quarterback values go up, right?
Yeah.
And that's true, but guess what start 16 does? Makes those two quarterbacks overall to the rest of it
Who gives a
way much more to value. You have 14 other players now that are skill players.
that could make up for a bad quarterback?
Yep. So go ahead with. I just wanted to highlight the point you're making.
I love the fact though that he somehow got that third out of him. So I want to know how that conversation went. It was like,
Yeah, not with Knox, man. Like
Yeah.
I know there's this new guy. I forget his name, but he's kind of.
no.
They just drafted
I
him.
don't even envision that it went. Like I like to envision my Jesus talking about the Kyron Williams part.
Did he send him like YouTube clips like they were real, but it's all about last year's hype on, they said when he's ready, he's going to take over the backfield and all this stuff.
There you go, one more. You got it.
Man.
I'm sure the warp's been ran on this.
What I did was really dumb. Instead of putting in Castle Black or Mr. Wonderful, I put in McNutted.
With all the leagues.
And I
Good choice.
scrolled through all those, It's kind of like the life choices I'm
Look
seeing
at
people
that
make on the trade show
running
right
back
now.
graph.
There it is, man.
That's why.
You know how-
Kyron Williams running back graph.
You know when I made this too? When the start of RBs don't matter. Oh yeah? Oh yeah?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Take a look at the warp graph. Look at them running backs, man. They beat every position until you get to where Scott and I talk about. Go listen to the class construction with Mike on it. About 40. We're like, about there is where the cutoff is like, I don't care as much about the running back. And look where it crosses. And look where now they're not as valuable as a wide receiver. But even then, look at that, man. Look at the quarterback line. Like, just, this highlights it perfect. Look at that QB line. One, first and foremost, Patrick Mahomes is not as good as in last year in Warp. Saquon Barkley, the top 5 running backs, or Travis Kelce.
I just look at where I like to gravitate towards is the QB8.
Well, that's the other thing. Is I was getting
From QB8
from top to bottom, they're the worst.
the worst.
You would rather, you're almost better off having, there's one difference in why two quarterback actually matters. You have to have a second to get into that spot, but as far as the flex viability goes, like you just want the other things, which is crazy. But yeah,
You'd want tight end 18 more than you'd want QB 18.
and why and speak to why, because they can go into 14 different spots.
They can
You're
move
trying to
all
fit
over the place.
because people are out here trying to get Josh Kelly in their lineup, and they got those dog shit tight ends that literally score a touchdown could matter even if you roster correctly. The starting 16's hard to do.
Oh, maybe the Dawson Knox piece is what pushed him over the top.
I think there you go. We just did it. No,
It
man.
still doesn't make up for
Look at
Mac
this
Jones.
warp graph.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I got the third, maybe?
Yeah,
Koopa
maybe.
style?
Now I know how the third happened. Now we need to discuss the first.
I don't know. Honestly, let me just ask you this right now.
So this is Castle Black. He's got the Eagles logo. It's my guy. He's an Eagles fan. I've offered him because I've been full teardown mode for about a week and a half now in this league. I offered him DeVonta Smith for picks. He's like, nah, man, Warp doesn't lend itself towards wide receivers. And I was just like, okay, that's fine. Like, I understand it.
I know this trade's pretty recent.
I don't want to buy DeVonta Smith for first. No, I want to go out and buy Mac fucking Jones for first.
Mike, you
I'm
see,
sorry.
Mike, you see why I tell you I'm not surprised they don't want to, come join you on the couch.
Come sit down.
Come sit on, McNuggets' lap. I mean, sheesh, man, that's, dude. Again, like you can't do it for a first value though. If you're telling me Mac, see, and this is one of the things I would do with a graph like this, Mike. I know this. Like if I can't get one of the high ones, I'm out. I'll catch y'all at the bottom. I'm gonna literally have probably 3 turds.
I'm gonna have 3 Mac Jones.
And when I say turds, I'm talking Mac Jones, I might even this will be a league where I would probably throw a Jimmy G on my team.
3 dudes with jobs.
In that, I'm gonna treat it almost like we treat running back now. You guys are in 1 year windows for me on this team. I'll
QB on a 53.
Yeah, you want Sammy Howell? Put him. Not actually, because that'd be amazing.
We get any QB on a 32.
There you go. Or like any QB that's like gonna start. Yeah, there you go. I like that. If you're gonna start, if I can project you to start,
there you go.
You got a home. I got a home for you right here.
RB on a 53. I got any QB on a 32. Let's go. I'll put that on a t-shirt.
I was gonna say it might go on a t-shirt here pretty soon.
QB on a 32.
Like that's what you could do though is let the values of quarterback run what people do with theirs, but you can actually pick up. That's one of the things you can do with a crazy league and see what warp is like this. You know the market of a 2 quarterback league in Dynasty is insane. Y'all can play in that market. I'm going to play in this one where I get them for cheap. And this graph shows me that although I'm not getting really a lot of warp, what I'm able to do now is spend on, look at that green line. I want to spend there. I want to spend on this blue line.
I want to spend on the fucking green line, the blue line, the lines that are devalued, right?
Because the market says what about, I mean, not Kyron Williams because that's just insanity, but, what does the market say about
I don't know.
The top?
He's still above some of these quarterbacks down here if he was like RB 48.
Eno Benjamin.
He could be Eno Benjamin.
Eno Benjamin's 0.46.
See?
But can Kyron even be that?
I don't think so, but hey, maybe.
My point is, I'm in this league. I'll take more running backs that just are guaranteed to work. And Mike's new beloved Jalen Warren, I want him here.
You want Jalen Warren in this league?
Yeah,
for sure.
I do. Mike's convinced me at least to take him in this league. I'll admit to that. All right. But my point is that's where you can play up the edges of the market versus warp and where you're actually winning wins over replacement player. Right. That's one of the biggest things there.
I can't buy DeVonta Smith from you though, man. Warp doesn't lend itself to this league.
Castle Black, can you at least just speak the truth? Just tell them you have way too much exposure. 1, you don't need any more DeVonta Smith, and 2, sorry, Mike, it's not you, it's me. I just can't trade with you. Period.
I saw that. I was like, okay, I get it. Because I can't buy. I thought he meant because of holy shit, the running backs.
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
Like, I get it, man.
Yeah.
This is what I tried to sell. Like I sent that deal to Koopa that we talked about, where I sold him like Kenneth Walker. I don't know if that made the show or not, anytime, but that was another trade I made. I got first off of Koopa, and I sent him a bunch of running backs, like Kenneth Walker being one of them.
Yep.
And I was like, on a market scale, people look at it and go, "This is stupid. I ain't buying it." But you go look at this warp thing, and like even if Kenneth Walker's like RB 15. This is a win for Koopa. He took the trade.
Yeah.
So I sent out some other deals, and that's what I was thinking he meant in my head. I'm thinking he goes, oh, no, I seen the warp, man, the running backs. Those are the devalued ones. That's how you get the edges, get these crusty-ass running backs that no one cares about. And then, like 2 hours later, trade's gone through. Oh, we got a first going. For what?
Oh,
Mac fucking Jones?
Yeah. Well,
who?
Well, I'll say actually, now that you said, I didn't realize it was this specific league. I will say, where you spent it is probably the worst place you could have spent that first because of what we just talked about. But I bet you I get what he's saying is wide receiver 10 here, right? Is right around 1, right?
Yep.
And he's like, instead of paying a first for DeVonta Smith, you can go get Adam Thielen, not actually, because I don't think he keeps that up. But point is, you can go get a name like that gives you almost 36. That. So I get the point he was making now. The problem is, that's smart. And just not trading with Mike probably at certain points is smart. But, I get that. But you can't do that and be like, all right, you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to burn it. I'm going to Mac Jones,
Say Max QB 24. What's that?
Worse than tight end 24.
No, what's that?
But it's it's Andy Dalton. You get Andy Dalton last year.
Right, now
0.48.
Now go to quarterback 42.
Joey Flacco.
0.3 warp off. He played like 2 games.
Pretty close. Yeah, I mean, the difference is you have to actually have ones that play weekly, like Flacco didn't. But that's how it does. You don't have to have a Mac Jones to win. This showing you it's not going to help you win. Yeah, so I think that would be just – I'm not doing that in this league.
I can't spend a first for DeVonta Smith when I can get an Adam Thielen for cheaper. Well, I can't spend a first for Mac Jones. Let me
Joe
Flacco off waivers.
It's funny because Warp, I'm just looking here. I'm running through the graph. it highlights the point I was making where Jimmy G's not going to cost me a first. 0.55 last year. So let's say like Mac Jones' range of outcomes versus Jimmy G in points per game this year if Jimmy G plays the whole season or what? I mean, I don't even know if someone can guarantee me Mac Jones beats him.
No, I don't think you can. I'm a Mac Jones truther.
So why in the world am I paying a first there when I could probably get Jimmy G for a second or some other currency that's not a first round pick, right?
That's wild.
That's it, man. That is all the trades.
That's a marathon. We did it.
15
on the casting couch. I need to stretch.
Man.
I need to see a chiropractor. Get this kink out.
We've got to see,
kink.
Not to see, about what you did to my back.
Kink. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we appreciate everybody tapping in. This has become a pretty good tradition. Much better than we didn't do a trade show last year at this time, did we?
I don't. No, we didn't. We didn't do a trade show. We did everything else. At that time, we weren't doing the trade shows, if you remember. But I will say this: the Expo's awesome. Glad you guys are tapping in. You've seen now at this point, another episode from ATM's Corner, and just keep tapping in every year for the Expo because it's a tradition, unlike any other.
Thanks, Jim Nance. That'll do it. We'll see you back here same time, same place next week.
Peace.
From the casting couch. Peace.